Welcome to my brand new series, DREADlines with Jami. And this is basically, it's a show where I'm going to walk you through all the true crime cases that are making headlines. So that can be anything from right now, we're talking about Diddy, we're talking about Garth Brooks, we're talking about the Menendez brothers. And these don't have to be celebrity involved cases. I mean, it can be any true crime case or true crime adjacent, but basically any true crime or true crime adjacent case that is making headlines and going viral. I'm going to walk you through it. And no, this is not breaking news. And this is also not a deep dive into these cases. It's basically a high level overview of what is going on in these cases, what's been said, what's been alleged, who's involved, basically the what, the why, the who, the when, the where. I will walk you through that. I'm going to also give my hot takes, my opinions. I am not a professional journalist. I don't have to stay neutral. I don't need to be Switzerland, and I won't be for the most part. Might ride the fence sometimes, just depends on the case. So DREADlines with Jami is basically me walking you through all the headline making true crime cases out there. Important to mention that all parties mentioned or alluded to on this show are innocent until proven guilty by law. All the DREADlines with Jami episodes are going to live on my podcast, which is Murderish. So if you are into podcasts and you want to listen to DREADlines in that form of media, then you'll want to follow Murderish on any podcast app. But these episodes will also live on my YouTube channel, which is at Jami on Air. That's Jami on Air on YouTube. And I also want to give a quick warning that there are going to be some really sensitive topics discussed on this episode of DREADlines. We're going to be talking about sexual misconduct and rape. All right, so the first case we're going to cover, and I'm pretty sure if you were to put money on it, you could guess which one that's going to be. And of course, that's going to be the Sean Diddy Combs case that has taken the world by storm. Some who know Diddy, I'm sure, are not surprised by this, but we, the public who don't know Diddy, we're all a little shocked or a lot shocked. All right, so who is Sean Diddy Combs? Everybody knows, but if you don't, Sean Diddy Combs is the head of Bad Boy Records. He owns a variety of businesses, including Ciroc Vodka, Aqua Hydrate Water, as well as Revolt TV. And he's, essentially like a hip hop music mogul. He's also a father of several children. His kids include King Combs, Justin Dior Combs, Chance Combs, Jesse James Combs, and Delilah Starr Combs. There's also Quincy Brown, who is the biological son of Kim Porter and Albie Shore. And it's been said, I don't know if it's confirmed, that Diddy adopted Quincy Brown at the age of 3 years old. Now, I don't know if that's true. And I also don't know if it's just adopted in a sense of he started helping to raise him then, but didn't legally adopt him. I don't know what the specifics are. So Diddy's world came crashing down when he was arrested in New York City on September 16th of this year, 2024. And he was charged with very serious federal crimes, including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, as well as transportation to engage in prostitution. And Diddy allegedly committed these crimes between 1990 and 2024. Now, the locations of the alleged crimes vary. However, it seems that many of the alleged crimes were committed in New York, New Jersey, Miami, and Los Angeles. Cassie Ventura, who is a former girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs, I think a lot of us who are following this case were well aware that she filed a civil lawsuit against Diddy, which I think is kind of what broke this thing wide open as far as all the civil lawsuits that would follow Cassie's, and there are quite a few, which we will talk about. But in Cassie Ventura's civil lawsuit against Diddy, she claims that parties called freak-offs took place in various locations around the country. And essentially, we've all heard this term freak-off. I mean, the term has gone viral. It is in all the headlines. And essentially, these are allegedly parties that Diddy held throughout the years where people would show up, and once the actual party was sort of like dimming down, there was like this after party, or at a certain hour, really freaky things would happen at these freak offs. And by freaky, I mean allegedly illegal. Sexual misconduct. There's talk of baby oil. I guess there were hundreds or thousands of bottles of baby oil that the feds confiscated at one of Diddy's homes when they raided his house. It's being alleged that the baby oil may have been laced with some sort of, I don't know if it's called GHP or some sort of component that makes people drowsy. And the theory is that if these people rubbed themselves in baby oil or baby oil was rubbed on them, whether they wanted it or not, it would make them drowsy so that Diddy and allegedly some of his cohorts could commit crimes against these people. These freak-offs have just gone viral. I mean, everybody's talking about the freak-offs. Everybody's talking about there is video footage that exists of certain freak-offs and certain sexual acts of Diddy with this person or another. There's just a lot to this case, allegedly. Diddy's being held at Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. A federal judge ruled on October 2024 that Diddy would remain held without bail even after Diddy's third attempt to try and get bail. So Diddy has been fighting hard along with his attorneys to get him out of incarceration while he awaits his trial. And so far he's been unsuccessful. And I believe he even, said that he would put up a $50 million home in Miami as part of, the bail package. But anyway, it's been rejected by the judge. And this is after 3 attempts for him to get bail without success. Sean Diddy Combs faces life in prison if he's convicted. Now, after Diddy's arrest in New York City, attorney Tony Busby out of Houston, Texas, brought forth a new civil lawsuit against Diddy on behalf of over 100 alleged victims of Diddy's. And Busby, the attorney, held a press conference, and you all may or may not have seen clips from this, but it was pretty jarring. But he described the victims in this lawsuit that he's filed on behalf of these alleged victims. He's saying that there are 60 males and 60 females who are part of this lawsuit. And he's saying that 25 of them were minors at the time the alleged sexual misconduct was committed against these alleged victims. Now, in another recent lawsuit filed by Jane Doe, which of course is a pseudonym, this Jane Doe claims that Diddy raped her at the age of 13 years old after the 2000 MTV VMAs, the Video Music Awards. Doe says she was picked up by Diddy in a limousine and taken to an after party where she says she signed an NDA. Jane Doe claims that Diddy and 2 other celebrities, one male, one female, walked into a room with Diddy saying, "You're ready to party?" And she said she felt really woozy after only having one drink at this after party. Jane Doe claims she was then raped by the unnamed male celebrity who was present, while Diddy and the unnamed female celebrity watched. Doe claims that Diddy then assaulted her and forced her to perform certain acts on him against her will. But Jane Doe says she was able to hit Diddy, and then she was able to grab her belongings and find an exit and leave. In another lawsuit filed by a celebrity personal trainer, the trainer claims that he met Diddy after his fashion designer introduced the two, because allegedly Diddy was impressed by his regime. And the trainer claims that Diddy invited him to an after party. Like, I'm seeing a pattern here of these alleged victims being invited to after parties by Diddy. The trainer claims that Diddy invited him to an after party where he claims to have been sexually assaulted by Diddy. Very similar story to Jane Doe, and I'm sure much of the alleged victims in the lawsuit that's been filed by Tony Busby. The personal trainer claims in his lawsuit that he was taken to a red-lit room where Diddy performed a certain act on him, then forced him to perform that same act on another male celebrity. So in these lawsuits, the word celebrity is being thrown around left and right. And I don't say that lightly. Like, when I say thrown around, I mean, these people are alleging that other celebrities, male and female, were present and or participated in the misconduct. So a lot of people online, the interwebs, the social media, TikTok, everybody is like, what celebrities? Name the celebrities. And we'll talk a little bit about a lot of the celebrities' names who are being mentioned. We'll talk about that a little later. The trainer says in his lawsuit that he observed many individuals, including celebrities, immersed in group sex. The trainer says that while he was in and out of consciousness, he was passed around the room like a party favor for their own sexual enjoyment. He says when he finally regained consciousness, he found himself outside of his apartment without a shirt and without a phone. According to videographer, producer, director Choke No Joke, in speaking on Comedy Hype's YouTube channel, actor-singer Jamie Foxx allegedly came out on stage and said during a taping of his Netflix special titled What Had Happened Was, Choke No Joke says on Comedy Hype's YouTube channel that Jamie Foxx came out on stage during the taping of this Netflix special and said to the audience that Diddy was responsible for his medical issue and that Jamie Foxx called the feds on Diddy for that. So Choke No Joke is saying that he was there at the Netflix taping for 2 days. And he says that Jamie Foxx allegedly claimed that the music mogul Diddy poisoned him. And that is what led to Jamie Foxx's hospital stint in 2023, which was previously chalked up to Foxx just having a stroke. So there's more to this. According to an October 2024 article on Yahoo, 3 audience members who were also allegedly at that Netflix taping in the audience also claimed that Jamie Foxx did say that Diddy was responsible for his medical issues. So you've got Choke No Joke, and you've got these alleged 3 audience members who say they were also there, saying that Jamie Foxx came out and said that Diddy was responsible. But there's another source who told In Touch that there is no truth to that. However, in an October of 2024 interview with celebrity bodyguard Homie CC, featured on the Cam Capone News YouTube channel, or maybe it's Cam Capone News YouTube channel, I'm not sure of the pronunciation there, Homie CC claims that Diddy poisoned Jamie Foxx and that Foxx reported him to the FBI because of it. And Homie CC alleges that he was also poisoned on 3 separate occasions, allegedly testing positive for cyanide, and which according to Homie CC, led to him getting pneumonia. Now, according to the National Institutes of Health, cyanide poisoning may also cause respiratory symptoms such as bronchitis, lung edema, as well as pneumonia. So the word pneumonia really caught my attention if Homie CC is to be believed, and that he contracted pneumonia as a result of being poisoned by cyanide. And the National Institute of Health is saying that cyanide poisoning may also lead to, respiratory symptoms such as pneumonia. And the words cyanide and pneumonia, these things are kind of leading my brain into the conversation about Kim Porter. Kim Porter is Sean Diddy Combs' ex, whom he has children with. We all know, if you're following this story, that Kim Porter died of pneumonia. And there are a lot of people who are very suspicious of her having died from pneumonia, because as we all know, with modern medicine, far less people are dying these days of pneumonia. It's not to say that it can't happen, because of course it can, but a lot of people are alleging, now this is just a conspiracy theory at this point, I don't know of any evidence that exists to support this as of yet, but the interwebs, the streets, whatever you want to call it, TikTok, news reports, like people are talking about the fact that Kim Porter may not have died from pneumonia. They think that Diddy may have had a hand in her death for various reasons, like maybe he needed to get rid of her because she knew too much. That's one theory. And so there's all this talk of people being poisoned, potentially, allegedly, by Diddy with cyanide. So if these claims are true, that Diddy allegedly poisoned certain people trying to cause their death with cyanide, then a lot of people are thinking, well, he may have done that to Kim Porter as well. And if he poisoned her with cyanide, that's what potentially caused her pneumonia, which is why she died, not just from getting pneumonia out of nowhere. So it's all very interesting, but I want to stress these are theories. This is not fact. I have seen no evidence to back this up as of yet, but it is all very interesting. Now, I'll be sure an R&B singer. He's a singer of some type. I think he's R&B singer. I remember him, I think, from the 90s. Him and Kim Porter were previously married. They had a son named Quincy together, whom, again, like I said earlier, Quincy is the son of Kim Porter, and I'll be sure that it's been reported that Diddy adopted at the age of 3 years old. But again, I don't know the legality of that. I don't know if he actually did legally adopt Quincy or not. Now, and we're going to get to Al B. Sure, because Al B. Sure is also making claims. He said some things about Diddy that Diddy may or may not have also caused him some medical issues. But Tupac's family has also entered the chat. Now, Tupac's family has hired New York attorney Alex Spiro. Spiro was also Alec Baldwin's defense attorney when he recently went on trial for manslaughter for the shooting that happened, the death that happened of Helena Hutchins on the movie set Rust. So Alex Spiro has been hired by Tupac's family to basically investigate whether Tupac's murder is also linked to Diddy. So, and for the record, Diddy has denied this. He's denied ever having any involvement in Tupac's murder, but that is not stopping people from claiming that, yes, that Diddy is responsible for Tupac's murder. I have heard this numerous times over the years, and some people think there is some credibility to that. I know that Keefe D, the man who was arrested and charged in connection with Tupac's murder, is saying that Diddy paid him $1 million, or basically didn't pay him because the money never actually landed in Keefe D's hands, but offered him $1 million to take care of Tupac. So we'll see how that turns out. I don't have any updates as of now as far as how the investigation is going on behalf of Tupac's family. Now, there's a woman named Ashley Parham who is described in court documents as a California resident. She filed a lawsuit claiming sexual assault and battery by Sean Diddy Combs. Parham claims that in 2018, she met a man at a bar who then FaceTimed Diddy. So the man and Parham are now talking to Diddy allegedly on FaceTime at this bar. And during the call, Parham alleged to Diddy's face on this FaceTime that he may have had something to do with Tupac's murder. Well, according to Parham, she claims the man in the bar then set her up to be assaulted by Diddy the following month at his apartment in Orinda, California, where this alleged assault took place. So Parham is basically saying that Diddy got essentially pissed off that she dared to say during this FaceTime that he was responsible or had something to do with Tupac's murder, and that was it. Her fate was sealed. Diddy and that man in the bar who FaceTimed him worked together to set her up to bring her to Diddy's apartment so that he could assault her. This is what Parham is claiming in her lawsuit. According to USA Today, Christina Karam, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, who Diddy has claimed previously is my right hand, is a co-defendant in Parham's lawsuit against Diddy, because Parham is accusing Karam, the co-defendant and Diddy's alleged right hand. She's accusing Karam of assisting Combs in predatory sexual behavior and proclivities by setting Parham up to be assaulted by Diddy. Karam is also accused of helping to cover up the crime afterward. And Parham is seeking $50 million in damages in her lawsuit against Diddy. Now, we all know that there are a lot of other celebrities who are being brought up time after time after time on social media, in news reports, on just in everywhere. And these other celebs, the names that I have heard, I know there are more, but some of the names I have heard over and over again being brought up are Usher, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Will and Jada Smith, Corey Gamble, Jaguar Wright, Jennifer Lopez, Naomi Campbell, as well as Stevie B, and more. Now, Justin Bieber, Cassie Ventura, and the late singer Aaliyah are also being brought up in connection with Diddy, but their names are being brought up and labeled as some of Diddy's alleged victims. But outside of the horrific video that many of us have seen of Diddy abusing Cassie in a hotel near an elevator, I've seen the video and it's absolutely horrific what Diddy did to Cassie in that video. Outside of that video that we saw of him harming Cassie. I'm not aware of any other credible evidence to confirm whether any of the people that I just named are at all connected to Diddy, whether as being culpable in his alleged crimes or as being a victim. Now, Kanye West and 50 Cent have both publicly spoken out against Diddy. 50 Cent especially. This man really has been calling Diddy out for a long time. And they make it clear that they do not support Diddy in what he does or who he is. Supposedly, there is a video being shopped to different news outlets, major news outlets, that allegedly shows Diddy having sexual relations with another young male A-list celebrity. And the two of them are allegedly engaging in sexual acts on video. And the New York Post was the first to report that the A-list celebrity is horrified at the possibility of this video being made public. And of course, I just can't even imagine knowing that that video exists and being scared every day that it's going to be made public, whatever that video may or may not feature. That's just absolutely horrifying. An attorney who represents one of Diddy's accusers told News Nation that one or two major news networks are in a bidding war for that video, which I also find disgusting. Why do they want this video? Now, one play that I can think of for the news network to want to have this video is that if we obtain the video, then we are going to go to that male A-list celebrity, whoever it is, and we're going to offer him this video, and we're not going to make it public. We're going to say, hey, in exchange for X amount of dollars, we'll just sell this video to you. We're coming to you first. Take this video, and we're not going to do anything with it. It's yours. Now, I don't even know if that's legal, to be honest with you, but I have no idea. Well, I do have an idea. I mean, the other really dark theory would be that these news networks are disgusting, unethical, gross, exploitative in nature, and they want to exploit the shit out of this male celebrity and use this video for clicks and likes and whatever, because that brings in revenue to that news station. I don't know. That is disgusting, and I can't even imagine. So if this video is real and it gets purchased by a major news network or any news network, aren't people going to think that that news network is disgusting? Like, I don't know what kind of backlash they will face if they're now in possession of this video that allegedly features a young male A-list celebrity. I just find that disgusting. So that is being talked about. And this attorney, her name is Ariel Mitchell Kidd, she says she's actually seen the video. So she is claiming publicly the video does exist and it is what it purports to be, and she has seen it. So when the feds raided one or more of Diddy's mansions, they removed numerous cameras, numerous computers, and other digital devices. So I've got to believe, and even for the feds to have moved in and raided anybody's homes, I've got to believe that's only because they had been building a case for a while, and they have strong evidence that this person more than likely committed these horrible acts, these horrible crimes, because the feds have an approximate 90% conviction rate or better. If the feds bring a case against you and it goes to trial, 90% of the time they're going to convict you. So the feds move when they have strong cases. So I have no doubt that the feds have a strong case against Sean Diddy Combs. Now, he is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, but you can't help but pay attention, sit up and pay attention when the feds have come after you, because they typically have been building a case for a while, and it is typically strong by the time it gets to them raiding your home. And a lot of people have asked, like, is this Hollywood crumbling? Is Hollywood finally crumbling? Meaning, like, are we going to take Hollywood down and stop being so fucking obsessed with these people and giving them so many privileges and holding them to such a high platform and allowing them to do essentially whatever the F they want to do, even if it's committing a crime because they are a coveted celebrity? Now, I think it will take a lot for Hollywood to crumble. However, at least my algorithm on TikTok is showing a lot of people, at the very least, myself included, being sick and tired of the BS from powerful celebrities, politicians, rich as fuck people just acting a fool, committing crimes, being able to do whatever the hell they want with little or no consequences. I think we are all sick and tired of that privilege that celebrities get, because at the end of the day, we are all human beings, and everybody needs to be and should be held accountable when they commit heinous acts and they treat other people poorly, they commit horrible crimes, all of it. They should be held accountable. So I don't know that Hollywood is crumbling, in my opinion, but I think there is a big shift. I mean, for example, the Kardashians are not getting the same level of love that they used to get. Now, they're pretty much set for life unless they just fumble the bag somehow and, piss away their multi-millions of dollars. They are set for life. And however they got there, that's to be debated, right? But I am seeing a major shift of people just side-eyeing and making negative comments on anything pertaining to the Kardashians because we're just sick of it. We're sick of them just like playing in our faces. I know I am. So at the very least, I do hope this is sort of like an awakening, a reckoning for all of us who are not celebrities to wake the F up and stop putting these people, they're just people like you and me, on these platforms to where if they make a mistake or if they commit a crime, they do something horrible, that you've got them so far high up on this platform that you can never take them down. Like you will just be in complete denial because no, not my Diddy, not my, Bill Cosby, not my Harvey Weinstein, not my, yada, yada, and on and on and on. We've got to stop putting these people on such a high platform. They are human beings and people just like you and me. They wake up with boogers in their eye. They make mistakes. They say the wrong thing. Some of them are shitty people, just like some of us are shitty people. Like they're not special just because they know how to carry a tune. They know how to dance. They know how to act in a movie. Big effing deal. Like in the grand scheme of things, big effing deal. I mean, you've got Weinstein, Cosby, R. Kelly, Danny Masterson, and possibly Diddy, and so many more who've just played in our faces and committed these awful, awful crimes, some of them allegedly, some of them confirmed. We can't take this anymore. We can't allow this to go on in secret anymore. We've got to call these people out and we've got to try and save and help the people who are being victimized. If you know something, say something. And to be crystal clear, I do think that more than likely Diddy will be found guilty. I think just based on the feds bringing this case and all these subsequent lawsuits being filed. And I think that he more than likely will be found guilty. However, he is considered innocent until proven guilty by law. Now, Diddy's trial is slated for May of 2025. My opinion, that date will probably get pushed back. I just think there's a lot going on. There's new accusers popping up. And I think that we need to take this all very seriously. I think the courts will take it seriously. I think that there's just going to be a lot of back and forth in Diddy's case. And I just don't think that we're going to have a trial in May of 2025. But if we do, all the better. Let's get this thing going. Let's see how it's decided. Let's see the evidence and let it play out from there. All right, moving on to the next case, which will finish up this episode. We are going to talk about Garth Brooks. Now, this one may have come more as a surprise maybe than the Diddy case, maybe, because I think that there's been talk throughout the years. If you kind of look for it, you'll find it in interviews of other celebrities and people who've attended Diddy's parties, and even Diddy himself looking back on some of his interviews and his public comments, like, it seems like some things were going on that were really not above board. But with Garth Brooks, now, to be honest with you, I don't pay attention to Garth Brooks. I am not a country fan, and I am definitely not a Garth Brooks music fan. Sorry if you are, do you. That's wonderful. But I've never been a Garth Brooks or a country music fan, for that matter. This one kind of, took me by surprise. But what I will say, and I've said this a million times, any human being with a beating heart who is a human being is capable of committing heinous acts. And that doesn't mean everybody's capable. I mean, if you're a human being, I'm going to look at you and I'm not going to be so shocked that you committed a heinous act, because you know why? Human beings are imperfect. Some of us are sick up here. Some of us have disorders. Some of us have disgusting proclivities. Some human beings are complex, and there are a myriad of things going on in every individual human being. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I hate when people say, oh my gosh, she was just the girl next door. She could never do this. Or, oh my gosh, Garth Brooks is like the nicest guy in country music. He could not. Bullshit. Okay. People show you who they want you to see. I'm sure myself included. I'm always on my best behavior when I'm in certain crowds. I mean, I'm a good person. Listen, I pay my taxes. I nourish my kids. I buy Starbucks for the person behind me sometimes. Like, I'm a decent human being. But I also, in certain crowds, when I met my husband's parents for the first time, I'm always on my best behavior. That's a light example, but people who are disgusting individuals and they're out there committing heinous acts against other human beings, you think they're just going to outwardly show you exactly who they are at a party or in a face-to-face conversation? No, they're going to show their victims who they actually are behind closed doors, in secret, and when they are committing these heinous acts. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my gosh, I'm shocked that somebody's accusing Garth Brooks of this. And that's not because I think he's capable or not capable. I'm just saying he's a human being with a beating heart. He's a man. And statistically, men, by and large, commit these crimes. So I'm just going to take it for what it is, and I'm going to want to see evidence. I'm somebody who typically, by and large, I believe accusers. Okay, I believe women, I believe accusers, but that doesn't just mean blindly. If it's not making sense for me and the evidence is not stacking up, and let's be clear, it's mostly circumstantial evidence in these types of cases, and that's fine. You can build a really strong case, in my opinion, on circumstantial evidence. But I am going to want to see some, I need to vet this thing out before I'm just going to go, oh yeah, he did it or he didn't do it. Now, Garth Brooks is a mega star in the country music world. He's a singer, songwriter. He's in his early 60s, I believe. He's married to Patricia Yearwood. She is also a big star in the country music world. She's a singer. He is the father to Maine Pearl Brooks, August Anna Brooks, and Allie Colleen Brooks. Garth has 9 certified diamond albums, which I guess he's the only artist who's ever done that. Pretty incredible. Also now that's shocking to me. Now that, as somebody who has never embraced country music, especially Garth Brooks, like that is so hard for me to reconcile in my brain, because I'm literally thinking about all of the just kick-ass artists out there who haven't accomplished this, apparently, and Garth Brooks did it. That's a shocker for me. Now, Garth Brooks also goes by Chris Gaines. Now, Chris Gaines is a fictional character, I guess an Australian rock star, featured in the movie The Lamb. And I guess this film didn't really gain a lot of popularity. And basically, Garth Brooks did an album as Chris Gaines, and it was like his emo era, I guess. But if Garth Brooks's Chris Gaines emo persona isn't a first-degree felony, I don't know what is. Because that is cringe on the highest level. If you Google Chris Gaines and look at the fucking images that pop up, it is so embarrassing. I'm sorry. If you're a Garth Brooks fan, maybe you're a Garth Brooks fan, but maybe you also are like, yeah, Chris Gaines emo era, not a good thing. It is so cringe. So please Google Chris Gaines and get back to me. Now, Garth Brooks is being sued by his former hair and makeup stylist, Jane Roe, which again is a pseudonym. Jane Roe, her lawsuit claims that Garth Brooks committed assault, battery, sexual battery, violation of the Bain Act, which I'll get into, as well as violation of the Ralph Act. So the Bain Act, I think, is a California law that states you can sue someone if they infringe upon your constitutional rights by force or threat. And violation of the Ralph Act, which Jane Roe is alleging in her suit, that Brooks violated the Ralph Act. The Ralph Act is a California law that protects against violence or threats of violence based on certain characteristics, such as race, sexual orientation, religion, and more. She's also alleging gender violence. So there's a lot going on in her lawsuit, but all very serious allegations. Now, Brooks responded by suing Jane Roe for false accusations against him. Garth Brooks believes that Jane Roe is using these claims against him because he didn't agree to her demands for an increased salary while they were working together, as well as medical benefits. So he thinks it's a money grab or some sort of like revenge against him. And of course, Garth Brooks is denying that he did any of those things that Jane Roe is alleging. So in Jane Roe's lawsuit, she claims she was hired in 2017 by Garth Brooks as a makeup and hairstylist. Although in Brooks's complaint, he says that she was hired in 2005. And also Jane Roe had previously worked with Garth Brooks's wife, Trisha Yearwood, who hired Jane Roe in 1999. So they had been working with this woman for quite some time. Both parties agree to that. Ms. Roe claims that in 2019 at Brooks's home in Tennessee that he came out of the shower nude, and she says he forced her hands onto him and told her that he'd fantasized about this moment. Roe also claims that in May of 2019, Brooks traveled alone with Jane Roe. And she says that usually there were others who traveled with Brooks on his private jet, but apparently, according to her lawsuit, it was just the two of them on the jet at this time. And Roe claims they traveled to Los Angeles, where Brooks booked a single hotel room for the two of them, which sounds like she found that odd, that she probably should have had her own room, which I agree. So if that's true, that's troubling at the very least. And she says that is where the sexual assault took place, in that hotel room. Ms. Roe claims that she just merely escaped a second assault because Brooks was running late. In early 2020, Jane Roe says that Garth Brooks took her phone and deleted conversations between the two of them that they were having under various names that Brooks used, allegedly, while he was communicating with Jane Roe. But Roe claims that Brooks apparently missed a couple of text messages or a few text messages, and which she used those text messages that he apparently missed and didn't delete. She used those in her lawsuit against Garth Brooks. And in her documents, these text messages are referring to his huge stick. In May of 2021, Ms. Roe ended her work relationship with Garth Brooks. She moved from Tennessee to Mississippi. But in Brooks's lawsuit, he says that Roe moved in May of 2020, not May 2021. They're recollecting dates differently in their lawsuits. On July 17th of 2024, Jane Roe's attorney sent a confidential demand letter to Garth Brooks, alleging that he committed sexual misconduct against Jane Roe. And on August 23rd of 2024, Ms. Roe sent a follow-up letter through her attorney stating that she'd refrain from filing a lawsuit against Garth Brooks if he paid her a multi-million-dollar payment, restitution basically. Now, I want to say this. A lot of people are going to hear that fact and they're going to hear demand letter and they're going to hear she's demanding that he pay her multi-millions of dollars so she doesn't file this lawsuit. But from what I understand, demand letters are actually very typically sent in an effort to resolve a matter or a dispute outside of court. And typically they do request some form of restitution. This is not the same as extortion, which I believe Brooks has claimed. He has said this is extortion or something like that. But this is not extortion. In my opinion, demand letters are fairly customary, and they typically come before a lawsuit is filed. And it is basically an opportunity for the claimant. It's an opportunity for the person being accused, the person being sued, to have a chance to settle this matter outside of court. That's not extortion. People are within their rights to send these demand letters. And I would say that it is typically pretty customary to send a demand letter before a lawsuit is filed. And that is what Jane Roe did. 5 days later, on October 8th of 2024, Garth Brooks filed his own lawsuit against Miss Roe. And he basically is choosing not to settle this thing out of court, because if he received a demand letter or two, he had the opportunity to just pay it and make it quiet and make it go away and not involve anyone from his family, not involve anybody. Nobody would have had to know about this if he just paid the money in the demand letter, or they came to some sort of agreement outside of court, but they obviously didn't. And Brooks chose to fight this thing and file his own suit against Jane Roe. But that brings up a whole nother conversation about, well, now potentially his loved ones are being dragged into this. And I'll talk about that a little bit more toward the end. Now, there is some major controversy regarding Brooks's countersuit against Jane Roe, and that is that he decided to name his accuser by her actual legal name in his lawsuit. And a lot of people find that pretty shitty. And I gotta say, I think that's pretty shitty. I think that it's one thing to fight. You are fully within your rights to fight this thing, file your own lawsuits, claim whatever you're going to claim, do whatever you got to do to fight this thing. But why do you need to name the accuser? And I just think that that's his way of just exacting revenge, maybe, or just, showing her, listen, I'll show you. You wanted to remain anonymous? Well, I'm going to name you in this lawsuit, and I'm going to tell the world who you are. But if the claims are true, then she is the victim of a serious crime. And you have to be able to protect people's anonymity if that's what they want. If they are victims of a serious crime and they don't want to be outed at this point, then I think everybody ought to play by the rules, the ethical rules, and not name this person. But Garth Brooks did. He named her in his lawsuit. Now everybody knows who she is. And Garth Brooks is basically claiming that he's the victim of a shakedown. Like he's basically saying she is a previous, employee scorned. She wanted more money. We didn't give it to her. She left. And now this is just, I'm the victim of a shakedown. This is a money grab. I did not do these things. So he's making himself the victim, which again, you could take one of two ways. Now, Dolly Parton has entered the chat, the Garth Brooks chat. She has said publicly that she hopes these allegations aren't true, and she just kind of wishes for peace in the world since everything in the world just seems so negative these days. And listen, Dolly Parton is a gem, but I've got to say, it's not that things are so negative these days. Things have negative and disgusting things have always been going on in the world. These types of crimes that Garth Brooks and Diddy are accused of, these have been going on for centuries. It's just that nowadays we talk about them. So maybe that feels like we're living in a more negative world. We also have social media now. So everything is in front of everybody at every moment. Whereas before you either had to read the newspaper or tune into the news to see what was a bit of what was going on in the world. Now we have access immediately. When we sit down, we open our favorite social media app, we have access instantly to all the negative news and otherwise that's going on in the world. So it may feel like these days we're living in a negative world, but these things have been going on forever. It's not just these days, and I don't want to get that twisted. People seem split on the Garth Brooks issue. There are some people believing Jane Roe and others saying this is just a money grab. For me, as I said, I tend to believe accusers. I think that is a very difficult thing to come forward and discuss deeply personal and traumatic things that have happened to you. So I do, for many reasons, I tend to believe accusers. But I'm going to reserve judgment on this. I'm not going to say, I don't know all the details yet, other than what's been put in these court filings. So I just kind of want to see it play out. But I do typically believe accusers. So I'll just leave it at that. But I do want to see more information before I go out and say, this is my opinion on this matter. Some people are asking, is Garth Brooks the Diddy of country music? I think that's a reach. That's a reach. I don't know. We don't know enough. Diddy has exponentially far more accusers than Brooks. Brooks has one that we know of. And Diddy not only has accusers, hundreds of accusers in civil suits, as well as Cassie. We all saw what he did to her on that video. I mean, that's no secret. But he also has federal charges being leveled against him, very serious federal charges. And that means that the federal government, they've investigated this thing. They have evidence in their hands that makes them strongly believe they have a case against Diddy, which is why they arrested him, which is why they've raided his home. So the two cases are just so vastly different. And to me, I just say take out is Garth Brooks the Diddy of country music, or is Diddy the monster of hip hop music? Take out the music part. And let's just treat them, if they are guilty, then they are just deplorable human beings. And I don't give a shit what genre they're from. I do not like that Brooks named his accuser. And I do not think this is extortion. I do think that Jane Roe, whether her accusations against Brooks are true or not, and I don't know the answer to that, she is well within her rights to send him a demand letter ahead of her filing a lawsuit against him. And that is not extortion. Extortion would be if someone is attempting to get money, for example, through force or threat, not sending a demand letter through her attorney, letting them know that, hey, I will file a lawsuit if we can't settle this thing out of court. That is somewhat customary in the legal world. I also find it interesting how Brooks is handling this, that he could have easily afforded. He is a multi-millionaire. The dude has a private jet, okay? Apparently, a lot of country music fans out there love his music, made him a very rich man. So he could have easily afforded to pay Jane Roe and make this thing go away. But more importantly, leave his family out of this, because in my opinion, now that he's fighting it, which he's well within his rights to do, and perhaps there's reason, maybe he is innocent of this, but because he's fighting it, if this thing goes to trial, it is likely that his wife, Trisha Yearwood, at the very least, would be called as a witness, because her name is all over this thing, because Jane Roe is claiming that Brooks would constantly suggest to her to have a threesome with his wife, Trisha Yearwood. So Trisha Yearwood's name, Jane Roe, the accuser, used to work with Trisha Yearwood as well as Garth Brooks. She, also from the standpoint of Trisha Yearwood allegedly being brought up by Garth to Jane Roe saying, let's have a threesome with my wife, Trisha Yearwood. So her name is kind of all over this thing. So Garth Brooks fighting it. And if this thing goes to trial, well, now his wife is potentially dragged into it. And that's a choice. That's a choice. So he has the money. He could have paid her off and made it go away, which would have also maybe made his wife and his family members' lives a lot easier, because then they don't get dragged through this thing. But now that he's choosing to fight and he's named his accuser as well, like we talked about, Trisha Yearwood could be called as a witness, and that's not going to be any fun. So I don't know. It's a choice. Here's what I will say. I've never had multi-millions of dollars, so I don't know how I would react if somebody accused me of something that I didn't do. Let's just say I did not do what they're accusing me of, but they're asking for $20 million, let's say, and I've got $600 million. Would I just pay the $20 million if it meant that this is going to go away and it's going to make my family not get dragged into this, and it's not going to affect my family nearly as much? It's going to protect them. Or would I just go, no way, no, I did not do this. I'm going to fight this thing tooth and nail. Even if that means my whole family gets dragged into this, I'm fighting it. So I don't know how I would handle it. I want to say that I would fight it and go, no way, I didn't do this, and I'll fight tooth and nail. But then I also have to think about my family. So I don't know. It's an interesting choice on Brooks's part. Now, Trisha Yearwood, as of October 8th of this year, 2024, she is standing by her man. She posted a picture on Instagram of the two of them, her and Garth Brooks, on stage together with the caption that says, "Love one another." So pretty sure she's standing by her man at this point. Now, the question is, in my cynical brain, I could see a scenario where behind closed doors, she's pissed off. She is pissed off at her husband, and she's going, maybe where there's smoke, there's fire. Maybe he did do these things. At the very least, maybe he cheated on me and she's a woman scorned. At the very worst, maybe he did commit these heinous acts against this other woman. But for the time being, maybe she has to give the appearance of support, because how's it going to look if she's like, oh my God, yeah, I'm distancing myself from my husband? That's going to make everybody think, he did it. So I don't know. I'm going to assume that her support for him is genuine and real and that she really does believe him. But I could also see a scenario where a partner would actually would think that at the very least, this whole thing is a little sus and look at their partner in a different way and think maybe he did these things, but still support them publicly for various reasons, maybe for their kids, maybe for her, maybe for all of them, maybe for Garth. Maybe she's just doing Garth Brooks a solid by going, okay, I hate your ass. I think you did this, but I'm going to tell everybody I support you. I'm even going to post on Instagram about it, but we're going to deal with this later. Who knows? But publicly, she's saying she's showing her support for her husband. All right, you guys, that's going to wrap it up. We are going to cover a couple more viral headline making cases on DREADlines a couple weeks from now. Make sure you're following my podcast, Murderish. That podcast is available in any podcast player because that's where these DREADlines with Jami episodes will live in audio form. If you want to watch these episodes, then they'll be on my YouTube channel at Jami on Air. So make sure you are following Murderish in any podcast app, and or make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel at Jami on Air because the episodes will also be there as well. And if you guys want me to cover any certain headline making cases on DREADlines, hit me up, let me know, DM me on TikTok, Instagram. You can also hit the contact button at my website at murderish.com. You can find me there, you can reach me there. Let me know if there's certain cases that are going viral. They don't have to be any kind of certain true crime case. They can be just true crime, anything true crime adjacent. It doesn't have to be a celebrity case, even though today's cases were involving celebrities. It could be any case. So I will see you in a couple of weeks. Make sure you follow me at Jami on Air. That's Jami on all social platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And again, let me know which cases you want me to cover on DREADlines. I'm happy to do that. All right, you guys, have a good one. Stay safe out there. Bye.